Hello there, everybody, and welcome in. It is Wednesday. That means it's Supernatural News here on Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis, and in with us once again for Supernatural News is our buddy, Beer City Bruiser. Hey, Bruiser.
Hey, Tim, I'm back. I'm excited and got some good stuff lined up for us, huh? Good.
Yes, indeed, I do. And we're happy to have you back as well. I know this past weekend was a little bit of a rough weekend for you. I'm assuming the arthritis is acting up with the underwater needlepoint.
It is, and the pressure from the water, builds up, and your body, getting in and out of the water, your body kind of goes through those bends, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I know it was one shot after another, and so we gave you a little bit of a break last week because
much appreciated. I slept the whole time.
I don't blame you. You know, whenever you're in the pool and you're doing laps, and then you got to go under, and I heard you did an entire 3-piece suit underwater at one of your appearances.
I did,
which I applaud you, my friend. That is amazing. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it was the Speedos, it was the life vest, it was the swim cap.
Wow.
And the flippers, like 3 pieces.
That
was 4. I can't count. Anyways,
it wasn't the 3 pieces I was thinking of, but hey, why not? I was thinking, traditional men's 3-piece suit, but that still counts. It still counts.
Can you see me in a 3-piece suit? Come on, you've known me for a while. I don't wear sleeves.
You know what? I think for your entrance, because every one of the underwater needle pointers gets an entrance, a grand entrance.
Oh, that's one of the best parts.
I think a tearaway 3-piece suit for you. Maybe have get a couple of the boys from Dalton Castle. And they just
kind of like Cesaro did for a while there, where you just rip off the pants and the shirt.
Yes, yeah. You just rip them away, and then there you are in your Speedo, and you've got your knitting needles or whatever it is you use there, and underwater needle pointing, and then you're off and into the pool.
Yeah, you know what? I can look into that. I can talk to my swimsuit maker and see what they can come up with.
There's got to be something there. I take it, do you go tanks or tankless when you're down there underwater?
It's tankless.
Oh, wow.
You want full breath, tanks slow you down. Tanks are available, but if you're a true hardcore underwater needle pointer, you go tankless. So you have to do it all in one breath.
That is
you're
impressive.
Down.
Yeah. I admire you for going tankless in that underwater needle pointing thing. For me, I would have to have the tanks. I even though I am a loudmouth and people say, hey, he could go for days. I think at a point I would just release my breath and probably drown underwater, trying to make something like, an oven mitt.
Well, see, the thing is that the tanks get in your way because you got to be constantly looking down using your hands, and with the regulator and stuff in front of you, it just throws you off.
Right.
And plus, you have sharp objects down there. What happens if you pierce a hose? You got to think safety, Tim.
That's true.
Underwater needlepoint is all about safety.
That is. It is about safety. You are right, my friend. Wow, you are opening my eyes here today on Supernatural News.
That's why I'm a professional underwater needle pointer.
That's right. Don't try it at home, kids. That's what they say on TV. Don't try it at home. That's
correct.
Or even
find a nice school with a nice pool and a nice trainer, and build up to when you can do the hour-long matches. The needle points underwater.
An hour long.
1 hour. Yes.
It's like you and Ricky Flair. That's it, man. That's all I can think of.
He's the greatest of the 1 hours. You know that.
He is. He's a Broadway man. Wow. Telling you, that is impressive. Well, we got a jam-packed show today. Can I tease the fact that you may have a run-in with Skynet?
Yes, please. It was on an underwater needlepoint adventure, and
really,
it was good. When it was happening, my wife looked at me and said, "This is going to be talked about, isn't it?" So this has got to be talked about.
All right,
It's a good one, man. It's really good.
Right
AI is out to get us. That's how I'm going to start it. AI is out to get us.
See, Bruiser's becoming a believer. I'm just telling you.
I am.
Yep.
I'm especially after this last weekend.
See, there you go. Well, that'll come up right before the break. We'll talk to Bruiser about his Skynet experience. We'll start off though with scientists seeking the origin of mysterious gigantic bubble structures in our galaxy. See, I told you people, don't let your kids play with bubbles. I don't know what that means.
They float up into space and form structures.
That's right. And then before you know it, you've got giant pommel horses and, things that aliens can play on. I don't know. The Milky Way recently blew a gasket, and we don't have anybody to fix it, according to a space instrument that was recently switched off over Russia's invasion of Ukraine, believe it or not.
Okay, yeah, a lot of things are getting switched off because of that.
That's right.
So space is no different. I mean, there's a lot of Russian space stuff up there.
That's right. Nobody's leaving the light on up there in space. For more than a decade, astronomers have been perplexed by the existence of two gigantic bubbles, that's in quotes, that extend for tens of thousands of light years on either side of the galaxy, the Milky Way. New observation.
That's just the Milky Way's personal space.
I think so, yeah.
That's the Milky Way's personal bubble.
It is, yeah. We all need a little holiday, even just for the day. I think that was Chicago that said that. And,
it was.
And the Milky Way took it personally.
They did.
Yeah, they let out their...
That's where we actually got the term personal bubble. When scientists saw it, and the Milky Way has it, we should all have it.
I think it was Thanksgiving for the Milky Way, and they let out their belt. And just kind of, how you let out the belt at Thanksgiving and you give yourself a little more room. That's what the Milky Way did out there. New observations now reveal that these enormous bubbles are likely remnants of a powerful explosion. Oh, no.
Great. More explosions.
Maybe that's the anus of the universe on that end.
We have bubbles. We have explosions. Next, you're going to say there's a weird smell.
No, there is. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's the more likely remnants of a powerful explosion that occurred some 2.6 million years ago, and it's still hanging around, Bruiser.
That is one serious bubble.
We need to get Renewsit or Glade or one of those companies on the phone. Febreze, exactly. One of them needs to sponsor us. It occurred 2.6 million years ago when the supermassive black hole at the Milky Way's center gobbled up a huge clump of matter. Of course it did. And it gave it gas. How do you like that?
That always happens to me when I eat a big clump of matter.
Yep. Me too, brother.
Then the wife gets mad at me and makes me sleep on the couch. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. This glimpse into the pyrotechnic past of our galaxy was captured by eRosita, which is a sophisticated X-ray instrument developed by the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics in Germany. This breakthrough from eRosita, which is part of the Russian-German Spectre RG Space Observatory, has a special poignancy to it, considering that the instrument was indefinitely switched off on February 26th in response to Russian invasion of Ukraine. A team led by Xiang Yi Yang, who is an assistant professor of, I want to get it correct, a professor of astronomy at the National Tsinghua University in Taiwan. I'm an alumni. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, of that university. I went for a short time, went for a month.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. You're broadening your horizons.
Yeah. I went for a language course. Failed miserably.
I can tell by the pronunciation of these names.
Thank you. Now you know why they kicked me out after a month. Shares new insights about these giant X-ray bubbles, which stretch across a total distance of about 50,000 light years above and below the Milky Way's center, perpendicular to the galactic disk. Hopefully we don't slip that galactic disk.
Oh, slipping a disc hurts.
Oh,
I've done that numerous times.
Yeah. Oh, boy, does it ever. These X-ray structures were first reported in 2020 and bear a striking resemblance to the so-called Fermi bubbles Remember those? You get them at Christmas time. They talk.
The nice little package.
Yeah.
Couldn't find them on the shelves anywhere.
No, they were gone. Which are they're gamma ray structures. I'm sorry. Spotted by NASA's Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope in 2010. This likeness suggests that past jet activity from the Milky Way's black hole could be the common origin of these fascinating structures, according to a study published on Monday in Nature Astronomy. In other words, the Fermi and E Rosetta bubbles may be the fallout of the same galactic eruption. Galactic Eruption was the sequel to Eruption by Van Halen, I believe, right?
It was their global hit, right?
Yeah, it was a global hit. It was a little faster and a little more finger tapping, if I remember right. Though they shine in gamma ray and X-ray light, respectively. Those little bubbles do. In an email to Motherboard, Yang called the E Rosetta image quite stunning and noticed that it shows two gigantic bubbles nearly symmetric about the galactic plane, which can which can only be explained by a galactic center event. I can just imagine the scientist who doesn't get out of the lab very often, Bruiser, looking at two perfectly symmetrical bubbles and saying that they were quite fantastic.
My question is, when is this going to start showing up in the Incredible Hulk comic books? Because it's gamma radiation that made him the Incredible Hulk, and now we got gamma bubbles.
Yeah, that are perfectly.
And is it safe to say, since this was 2 point whatever million years ago, that it was possibly a gas bubble that killed the dinosaurs?
Like the dinosaurs just couldn't take it. They're like, "Woo, child! Oh, my God, that's
out. This stinks."
That's enough to kill a dinosaur. Given that Rosetta has only just opened up this powerful new window into the X-ray sky, by the way, and the secret's hidden there, it is deeply disappointing that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has forced the instrument's team to suspend its operation. Yang said this is indeed very sad news, not mentioning all the negative impacts of the war worldwide. Yes, of all the atrocities, by the way, Bruiser, the fact that they've shut down the telescope is the worst of all.
That's the worst.
Can't
Ukraine's
imagine.
getting bombed daily.
Yeah.
Russia's trying to start another war. But you know what? They shut that telescope down, and that is a travesty.
That's right. I mean, people are dying. There's people starving. People are losing their freedoms, but we shut down the damn telescope, and by God, that's the worst thing that could happen.
At least the lonely scientist took some copies of it to hang on his wall at home, so he's not going to miss those identical bubbles.
Yeah, he can just sit at home alone and admire the symmetry of those two bubbles. Those two perfect bubbles. We'll move on because I think we should. An ancient Japanese killing stone was said to contain a demon, and it is now cracked open.
That's not good.
No.
That's not good at all.
No, I think we're all screwed.
As if seen a movie start this way.
Yeah, that's exactly. This is how every Godzilla movie starts.
Yes.
Yeah. As if the world doesn't have enough problems, people are now worried that an evil demon locked in a rock. that sounds like a metal, like some sort of weird metal lyric. Locked in a rock for about 1,000 years.
Demons fly.
That was very Elmo of you.
Thank you.
Demons
Elmo
fly
Metal.
already, yeah.
Yeah, no, that.
Back to the Death Stone.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so the world doesn't have enough problems, but people are now worried that an
Elmo's everywhere now.
Yeah, emu demon is now loose, trying to give you.
Tickle Me Elmo just starts coming out of it. That's like the worst fear we can have.
Yeah, he breaks out and goes,
Where's Zoe? Where is everybody? I don't understand. Where did you go?
Worship me.
Bow before emu.
Yes.
Emo Elmo.
I'm so sad. Everybody bow before me.
I don't know. Okay, so that evil demon was locked in a rock for about 1,000 years and is on the loose. The so-called killing stone that kept the malevolent spirit imprisoned all this time has split in two, sending believers into a state of panic. I'm looking at the killing stone. It looks basically just like a little old innocent boulder. Although there is...
Are they sure they got the right killing stone?
Yes. Although there is a... I don't know if... Can you see this? If I just hold this up like this? Do you see that post?
It's got the... Yeah. What is that post?
It's like a warning post.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
do not open this rock.
Yeah, do not open this rock, or please empty all your containers before you put them in the recycling. Something like that. I don't know what exactly that says, but
in case of emergency, avoid rock.
Yes, avoid rock. Japanese legend has it that anyone who comes into contact with the rock will die. Whoops. According to mythology, the volcanic rock, officially called Sekai? Sekai? S-E-K-I. How many times have you been to Japan? Sekai? Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like Sekai.
Sekai. Okay. Is home to Tomomo no Mei, a.k.a. the No Mei, yes. The nine-tailed fox.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. I visited her a couple times at the strip club.
The foxes are a big thing in the were community with the werewolves and all that. The foxes are like little devious, and the more tails they have, I guess the more devious they are.
Well, this one's got 9, so not exactly wanting to trust it.
No, now with 9.
Yep, now with 9.
1 maybe 2. Yeah, not 9.
2. Yeah, you're fine. 9, not so good. The demon apparently took the form of a beautiful woman who was, that's how they get you, who was part of a plot to kill Emperor Toba, ruler of Japan from 1107 to 1123. Located in the mountainous northern region of Tochigi.
I think it's Tokagi.
Is it Tochigi? Tochigi?
Tochigi. Yeah. Tochigi.
Near Tokyo. The rock is something of a tourist hotspot, but now visitors are fearful. Some speculate that the evil spirit may have been resurrected to wreak havoc once more. Yay! I feel like I've seen something that shouldn't be seen, one visitor said on Twitter. Others have commented saying, here, I thought 2022 couldn't get any worse. Oh, come on. It's a broken rock. You haven't actually seen anything yet. Now a furious Japanese spirit is freed from its killing stone, someone else said. But another joked, my guess is the demon is going to look around at 2022 and want to go back to the rock for another millennium.
The rock, they come back the next day and the rock's all sealed up again.
That's right.
Do not bother for 200 years.
Do not disturb sign on the outside of it. Local.
Sorry.
So sorry. Didn't mean to break the rock. Nothing to see here. If you've got any of that seal stuff from TV, I can brush on the rock.
It's underwater too.
Local reports suggest the rock actually started cracking a couple of years ago, so it's been a slow burn. It's thought rainwater might have gotten inside and caused the damage. Officials are now mulling over what to do with the rock's remains and who would attempt to restore it. In other news, prudish NASA has admitted that it may have to study. This is totally unrelated. I don't know why they throw this on the end. Prudish NASA has admitted that it may have to study sex in space if humanity is ever going to make it to other planets. Maybe they'll get the nine-tailed fox involved here.
I'm saying that's what it is. This is how the nine-tailed fox gets us. It wants us to go into space, to go by those bubbles, and it's going to destroy everything.
See, you tied it all together, Bruiser.
I did. Look at that. That's why you have me on here.
I see
those damn nine-tailed foxes.
And their bubble fascinations. An ancient mega landslide deep under the ocean. They just added a bunch of crap at the end of the story. I don't know why I even went that far.
What it was is they knew that the demon story was like, oh, this is a great shocker story, but we have this really boring NASA story. What do? Let's just throw it here so people keep reading the article and don't even know they have nothing to do with each other.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the earth. Okay. Interesting story here in that I don't know that it belongs in supernatural news, but maybe we start a new category. Dumb supernatural deaths. Sure, why not?
Somebody get stabbed with dowsing rods or something?
No, this is even better. What's your normal wake-up routine?
Wake up, stretch, check my messages, go to the bathroom.
What, in fact, I'm going to hold this up here because intern Yoko just ran this into me. Do you ever start the day with this bad boy right here?
I this is funny. When I'm on the road, I drink coffee. Yeah. But when I'm at home, I don't. It's weird. Something about hotel coffee.
On show days, I have to.
Okay.
It's not necessarily to get up for this thing, because all of you lovely people give me the energy, the strength to move on. That was very prophetic, wasn't it? It was either prophetic or pathetic, one or the other.
There's a rock cracking somewhere, Tim.
Yeah, there is, with a demon with my name on it. No, for some reason it's just it's a little cool in my studio, so I drink like warm coffee. It just keeps me.
Well, it keeps you warm.
Yeah, it keeps me warm. But caffeine does nothing for me. It doesn't stimulate me. It doesn't wake me up. It doesn't do anything for me. It's just the warmth of the coffee kind of keeps my inner self all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I can do a cup of coffee and I'm pretty good. That's why I always do it on the road, because there's no sleep on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Free coffee in the hotel room and 1 cup and I'm ready to go.
The one thing that does kind of wake me up a little bit when I do Saturdays in St. Cloud is 5 Hour Energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, those didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And I had to stop energy drinks altogether because I spent the night in the hospital because of them.
Oh, I suppose with the heart rate, it'll.
So it was real hot outside, and I used to drink between 8 and 9 a day, and I guess they dehydrate you, and I didn't know that. So
yeah, they're real bad for that.
It was an outdoor event, and my kidneys started to shut down because I was so dehydrated.
Yikes! No, you have to balance it out with water. So if you do one of those, you should drink at least a full 8-ounce, if not further, or at least 2 8-ounce bottles of water for every one of those.
I was doing energy drinks and beer, so they said that just dehydrated me. And I told them on the energy drinks I had, they're like, that you're not supposed to do that. So I haven't touched an energy drink since then.
Yeah, the energy drink and beer thing is probably not the way to go, my friend. Yeah,
it worked for so many years, and then just that one time, But that's all it takes, one time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, it turns out that a Colwyn Bay man died after a 200 coffee caffeine overdose. I can't believe this. It's true. This guy drank 200 cups of coffee.
What?
Yeah.
It's like that Futurama episode where Fry's trying to break the record or something like that. And 200 cups of coffee?
And believe it or not, Bruiser, this guy is a personal trainer. I don't mean to laugh at a guy's death, but I mean, you go to a
his heart exploded is what it was. His heart exploded.
You gotta think. I mean, but we go to personal trainers because we think, they know what's best for our bodies, right?
Yeah. And he should have, to be a personal trainer, you have to take at least a course on nutrition.
Yeah.
So he should know what caffeine does to the body.
Exactly. A personal trainer died after taking caffeine powder, the equivalent of up to 200 cups of coffee. Oh, so he took caffeine powder. All right. Father of 2, Tom Mansfield, had miscalculated the amount of powder he was meant to use on kitchen scales. An inquest in Ruthin heard the 29-year-old from Colwyn Bay fell ill straight after drinking his mixture on January 5th of 2021. Reaching a conclusion of misadventure, coroner John Gittins said the cause of death was caffeine toxicity. So yeah, you can drink too much caffeine, kids. Caffeine is used by some gym goers, with some fitness websites recommending it for improving sports performance in certain doses. However, experts have warned that when taking powders, there is a risk of consuming over the recommended amount. On Tuesday, an inquest heard Mr. Mansfield began clutching his chest and complaining his heart was beating fast after consuming the product. Minutes later, after going to lie down, he began foaming at the mouth. His wife, Susanna, alerted neighbors and family and called an ambulance. Paramedics tried to resuscitate him for 45 minutes, but was later pronounced dead at Glyn Hospital there in Wales. The hearing was told the scales that Mr. Mansfield had and used to measure the powder had a weighing range of 2 to 5,000 grams, whereas he was attempting to weigh a recommended dose of 60 to 300 milligrams. So what was he trying to do then? It was,
I think he misunderstood the grams from milligrams.
Yeah, and so he must have just automatically thrown up
300 grams or whatever it was.
300 grams instead of 300 milligrams. It was this miscalculation which led to a massive overdose. The hearing was told he had bought a 100-gram bag of the powder from Blackburn Distributions, and a statement read to the hearing. Its director, Ben Blackburn, said the powder should be weighed to 2 decimal points in milligrams, and the suggested dosage was 60 to 300 milligrams of the powder up to twice a day. He said scales for the purpose of weighing such small amounts can be purchased. They're out there. The company did not, at the time of Mr. Mansfield's death, include scoops in the packaging because they are not always accurate. But Mr. Blackburn said this has now changed. They are including those scoops in the packaging. It has also enhanced the usage instructions and increased the prominence of potential side effects. A postmortem examination showed that Mr. Mansfield had caffeine levels of 392 milligrams per liter in his blood.
That's a lot of coffee.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot of coffee. Yeah, those pre-workout stuff, man. Like the old wives' tale is a cup of black coffee will do you. You drink a cup of, a little diner cup of black coffee, and that'll get you through your workout.
Yeah.
But now you have all these pre-workouts with the BCAAs and all that stuff to make you all tingly, and they throw caffeine in there. I was taught early you don't get powders unless there's a scoop in there because it's so hard. Unless it's a single shot, you open it and dump it.
Yep.
So I can see doing that.
To give people an idea what you're talking about here, Bruiser, caffeine levels would typically be 2 to 4 milligrams per liter if someone had drunk a cup of filtered coffee. So he had 392 milligrams per liter in his blood. 2 to 4 milligrams per liter is the normal cup of coffee.
That's a lot of coffee
per liter.
That's a lot of coffee.
Yeah. Mr. Gittins said,
I wonder what his workout was before that. He must be having a great workout before that.
Oh, he's before the whole couple deep knee bends and then go home. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Mr. Gittins said it appeared Mr. Mansfield had been aiming for the mid-range of the recommended dose.
Oops.
Oh, whoa. But he got his math wrong, and there were unintended consequences, which had a fatal effect. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say there, bud?
Oh, no, you're fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's that's just, what a horrible way to go.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because that's a heart attack into a stroke, into a coma and a death.
Instantly. Ugh. You've heard of King Tut's meteorite dagger before, right?
I have. I'm a big fan of anything King Tut because of the whole curse thing. That was a dagger someone made for him out of the meteor that crashed to the earth or whatever.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, there are different stories out there as to how this dagger was formed.
Correct.
Well, there's new mysteries out there as far as this meteorite dagger is concerned, and there's a new story out there this week. When archaeologists first glimpsed the gilded splendor of King Tutankhamun's tomb, they never thought that one of the most fascinating artifacts didn't originate in Egypt or on Earth. Tutankhamun's ascended from the throne at 9 and died at 19. While he may not have reigned long, he did wield an iron dagger that was, in the most literal sense, out of this world. It might not have looked like much compared to all the riches unearthed from his tomb, including a gold death mask that seems to gaze into the hereafter. But the blade of this dagger was actually carved from a meteorite that had previously fallen to Earth. The question is where that dagger was forged. Never mind the origin of the asteroid that burned up in the atmosphere and sent a meteorite hurtling to Earth, where the dagger itself came from, is debatable. But the type of space rock it was made from might have now revealed something. Researcher Tomoko Arai of the Chiba Institute of Technology in Japan looked up close to find out what type of meteorite was used for such a weapon. She co-authored a study recently published in Meteorics and Planetary Science. not a word I use very often. Meteoritics?
No.
Meteoritics.
Like economics, but meteoritics?
Right. The era of King Tutankhamun was around 1300 BC during the Late Bronze Age, she told Sci-Fi Wire. It is widely believed that the subsequent Iron Age started around 1200 BC. That is when the presence of the Tut iron dagger has raised doubt. This and other pre-Iron Age artifacts are made of iron, suggest the metal was obtained from meteorites before there was a surge in smelting and steel production. It had a pattern that could have been or only been from an octahedrite. Octahedrite are actually the most common form of iron meteorites, and what gives them away is known as that's a big German word. Widmanstätten pattern formed by lines of kamacite, which is an iron-nickel alloy that intersect. This was previously unknown because a Widmanstätten pattern is impossible to see without a microscope. It showed after the dagger was zapped with X-rays to give the researchers a better idea of what it was made of. Another sign of an octahedrite is embedded flecks of iron sulfide. They were almost mistaken for rust. The metal in the Boy King's dagger is also the same kind as that from the Japanese meteorite Shiragahi, from which several royal swords are known to have been made. That doesn't necessarily mean that the blade or its raw material came all the way from Japan. What it does mean is that because Shiragahi is an octahedrite, there is something to compare the dagger to. How it was forged also became apparent because the Widmanstätten pattern was still visible. The structure consists of Ni-poor Fe metal or kamacite and Ni-rich Fe metal or taenite, said Arai. General forging temperature of steel is above 1742 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. Yeah.
That's very hot.
You're going to burn your chest hair on that deal. The dagger was generated by low to moderate temperature forging, so the Widmanstätten structure survived during its manufacture. Where that meteorite landed and where the dagger was made is unknown. However, the Amarna letters, I want to get this right, might be whispering about it from the past. These 3,400-year-old tablets kept records of diplomatic matters and are from around the time Tutankhamun was pharaoh. Something is mentioned about an iron dagger being given to his grandfather, Amenhotep III, who married the daughter of the Anatolian king of Mitanni. It is possible that it was a wedding present that was passed down as an heirloom until it was finally buried with Tutankhamun. The hypothesis of the dagger being foreign is consistent with the Amarna letters, not Amarn, but Amarna letters, Arai said. We find the plaster used for the gold hilt was also what was not used in the ancient Egypt during that era. We think that this is also in line with a foreign origin. King Tut's mummy was also found with an iron bracelet and headrest. Apologies to this guy, it says, but that still doesn't mean his bloodline had extraterrestrial origins. So they're saying that the hilt is foreign, Bruiser, and that it isn't necessarily Egyptian, and that it may have come from other.
From like the Japanese, where those swords were.
Not necessarily Japanese, but it may have come from other help me out here, from other other
countries, planets.
No, other not bloodlines, but other
families,
descendants. Yeah,
descendants. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know why I had such a hard time saying that. And they might have gotten it from other lands.
I think it's just cool that to have a meteor knife. Like, I always thought that was cool that,
Yeah.
It was a knife made from a meteor, Does it hold supernatural powers? That would be awesome.
That would be awesome if it had some sort of weird power, even if it just attracted something really cool. Like exactly, a big magnet. Yeah. Can you imagine if you magnetize that knife? That would be awesome.
Can you iron?
Sure. Well, you can steal, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know either.
I don't know. It's a good question. Okay, so this is probably the most submitted story I've had this week. You've seen the video, haven't you? This giant, I believe it's a Euro or a Joro. It's got to be a Euro spider because this is, I believe, of South American origin. Joro. I think it's a Euro spider.
Euro.
It's very colorful. If I show you this picture, you're going to go, "Oh yeah." you recognize?
You got to raise it a little bit. Oh yeah, yep.
You recognize that? Okay.
Yep.
It's been all over Facebook, all over Twitter, all over Instagram. Everyone has this video of this gigantic spider that looks like it's half black widow, half tarantula, and it's got a yellow, black, and red body. Okay. But this giant Euro spider that parachutes, and that's literally what it does. It parachutes by using webs to ride the wind like a balloon. It's saying now that it's set to cover the entire east coast of America.
I read a tweet that said, first the pandemic, now possible World War III, and now we have to worry about parachuting spiders.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's easier to cover the skies with fire than it is to defend yourself from war. You just,
How terrifying would that be if you're walking, you can see like a flock of gulls or a V of geese, but then also you just see a clump of spiders falling on you from the sky.
Well, you've walked the streets of Philly at night, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, so you've been hit
in the ECW arena at Tony Luke's all the time.
Yeah, you've been hit by a flying cockroach, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I heard about them, but I haven't.
I have.
No.
Have
you?
Yeah. We were there for Eastern State Penitentiary trip. And I was walking. Where were we walking? We were walking from our hotel, which is in Center City, and it was a really bad hotel. I won't say the name of it. But we were walking from there, and we were walking over to an Irish pub just to grab a drink. It was late at night, and as we're walking past what looks like an old row house, but it was an abandoned crack house. You could tell it was a crack house because there's a homeless guy who's laid out, and it's summertime. Mm-hmm. Homeless guy laid out on the sidewalk with a sheet over him, right?
Okay.
And, half of our group doesn't know if that person's alive or dead because all they've seen of anything of the city is TV, and if they see somebody with a sheet over them, they think the cops have been by and that person's dead.
And they just left the body there.
Yeah, and they just left the body there. Those of us that know better are like, don't go up and touch that person. They're alive. They're homeless. They put the sheet over themselves so nobody will bother them.
Right.
Correct. So somebody goes up and goes, "Oh, I want to go up and touch them." And like, no. Come on, let's go. Right?
What?
Yeah, like it was.
Can I poke him with a stick, please?
Yeah, it was like taking 5-year-olds on a field trip. So
don't touch this button. I really want to touch that button.
Well, what helped is the guy stirred and he kind of lowered his sheet so that people would not go over and touch him. So then the people who wanted to go touch him quickly fell back in line like kindergartners. So as we're walking over to the Irish pub, all of a sudden you hear whap, 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 what sounded like really loud rain hitting a building.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, bap, I get hit on the top of my head, and I grab, because it's still kind of flittering on my head.
Right.
And I grab whatever is flittering on my head, and I open up my hand, and it's a cockroach.
Oh.
I'm like, son of a bitch. So I'm looking up in the sky, and by the light of the street light, you can see them flying down.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there's a whole, it was like biblical, the way that
I was going to say, you were probably having biblical thoughts at that moment. Like, okay, this is it. This is when this all happened.
Yeah, this is like locusts, right? You're thinking, okay, end of the world. Here we go, right? So here's these flying cockroaches just coming at us, just whap, 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 whap. Well, the girls in our group are screaming, and they don't want them caught in their hair, so they go running for the bar. And one of them comes at me, and I played baseball in junior high and high school and a little bit in college. So I hit the one that's coming at me just to see if I can hit it. And the building is about, I don't know, it's maybe, 30, 40 feet in the distance. I hit the cockroach and it hits the building, and all I can do is celebrate and I go, yeah!
Got you son of a bitch.
Because not only did I hit it perfectly with an open hand on the pitch, but then, then it hit the building. So I was like, yes!
When you got into the bar, did you guys all shake off everything you were wearing and stuff? Because I've always been told, there's been times when we've taken our gear bags in the locker rooms, and they've always told us when you get to the hotel room, shake them out.
Yep.
Sitting there.
Yep. Yeah. Shook out everything real good, and it was not good. But that's the flying cockroach story. The flying spider story, on the other hand, or the parachuting spider story. A scary looking spider that can use its webs to ride the wind is set to cover the entire East Coast. This, according to scientists, or some scientists, not all of them. Officially called the Euro spider, I hope. Many people are referring to the arachnid species as parachuting spiders because of their unique ability. The legs of the so-called giant spider span 3 inches, which is about the diameter of a soup can.
Oh, jeez.
It's a biggin.
That's a big one.
You
hit that with your hand and it's hanging on.
That's right. It's not
going
flying.
to the building 50 feet away.
That's right. It's not flying. It's hanging on.
Yeah.
Their size and startling appearance with bright red, yellow, and black bodies has some East Coast residents on edge. Researchers believe the species, native to Asia, came to the United States on shipping containers about a decade ago. Homeowners in Georgia are already encountering their huge golden webs, and University of Georgia scientists released a study saying they are about to spread up and down the entire East Coast. It doesn't have
scaring me, Tim. I'm moving to the East Coast.
Yeah,
you know this. Yeah. You're terrifying me to move to the East Coast right now.
Carry a bat instead of a keg with you there, Bruiser. That's what I'll say.
I will.
Yeah, you need to tee up and get ready to hit these things. If it says it doesn't have anything that's controlling its population size in the new habitat, but it has perfect conditions to spread. Benjamin Frick, co-author of the study, told South Carolina NBC affiliate WYFF. Frick and his colleagues did an experiment that involved briefly exposing the spiders to below freezing temperatures. They concluded that spiders will spread up and down the coast because of their ability to survive the cold. Possibly as soon as May or early June.
No, that's when I'm moving.
Yeah. First spotted in Georgia in 2013 or 2014. Researchers say they've already made their way into the Western Carolinas. I'm sorry, my friend. They're already there.
That's it. I can't tell the wife this. She won't want to move.
You're welcome.
We just bought the house, so.
to quote Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. Yeah. Male spiders also use the technique to find females, and the method allows the spiders to travel between 50 and 100 miles.
Oh, so thank you.
If you piss that thing off, it's coming after you.
It's going to follow you.
Yep. The news outlet further explained that they tend to be found at the edge of the woods or around homes and reportedly live in groups. So where there's one, there's many. These are the last days, and that's how I feel, South Carolina resident Joy Brown told Fox affiliate WHNS.
That's how I feel, Bruiser. We're in the last days, and them horror spiders, or however you say it, they's coming after us.
They's gonna wrap us up in their golden parachutes and just take us off.
That's right. They're gonna take us to the Lord.
I feel like the Lord is coming back, she said. Species like that. I just happen to be afraid of spiders, but I mean, still, that's unnormal. She went on to say.
That right there, that ain't normal. That right there ain't normal.
That's unnatural.
Her sentiment was shared by others along the East Coast who are unsure what to think about the insects.
I want to meet the one guy. It's like, man, this is so cool. Look at all these spiders. Look how cool this is.
I want them to take me away and make me their god. While the spiders are venomous.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
They're poisonous. The good news is that they have very small fangs, so it doesn't hurt that much to get bit. So bites likely wouldn't break human skin. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine.
Scientists suggest that residents should learn to live with the Euro spiders and pointed out that they hunt mosquitoes and other bugs. So they're good things, I guess. Like it or not, it says they probably just going to be here to stay. Professor of biology at USC Upstate, John Storm, told WHNS there's going to be too many of them. I'll leave you with that line, Bruiser.
There's going to be too many of them.
There's probably going to be just too many of them.
We got to find what their natural enemy is so that I can buy it and it can hunt these things.
Oh, who knows? We move on to something more friendly we can think about. Ghosts. How's that?
Ghosts are a lot more friendly than parachuting spiders.
That are venomous. Venomous. I can't even say it. Venomous. Venom. Yeah. Haunted Bluffton restaurant, which was featured on TV's Dead Files. They want to know what happened after the filming. We'll tell you. Bluffton real estate agent Michelle Lacona's phone was blowing up last weekend, but had nothing to do with the spirited housing market and everything to do with spirits of a different kind. Lacona and her husband, Chef Julio Lacona, owners of a now closed Nonna Lucia, which is an Italian restaurant in Bluffton, were featured February 26th on the Travel Channel television network show The Dead Files. I thought this show would just slip under the radar, Michelle said. No. She told the Island Packet and Beaufort Gazette about her surprise when she started getting calls from old friends and loyal customers after the show premiered. The episode titled Hell's Kitchen was filmed at the beginning of August at Nonna Lucia, just off SC 46 near the Bluffton Parkway traffic circle. It will re-air, or it already did re-air last weekend, and then this weekend as well. The show pairs medium Amy Allen with Steve DeShavi, former New York City police homicide detective. The two travel around the country to help people who believe paranormal activity is ruining their lives, the show website says. Michelle explained that they were not paid for their appearance on the show, but wanted validation of what they were experiencing. When Amy and Steve came, it was good for us mentally to know that we weren't losing our minds, she went on to say. At the time of the filming, the restaurant was closed because of extensive water damage from Hurricane Danny. While negotiating with the insurance company over the damages, they found out the building they had been renting had been put up for sale, so they decided not to reopen. We always just seemed to have bad luck there, Michelle said. All things considered, it was time to move on. Almost as soon as the Laconas took over the restaurant in August of 2019, they started noticing strange occurrences, and Michelle's health tanked. She had a heart attack and a stroke, developed vertigo and unexplained pain, and was diagnosed as a diabetic. Julio found himself getting uncharacteristically angry and depressed while in the restaurant and having thoughts of ending his marriage. They said they saw shadowy figures and heard noises like plates rattling. Kitchen items such as knives and meat tenderizers would disappear and then reappear. Employees would trip over nothing or feel like they were being pushed down. One former employee interviewed by the Dead Files said she saw the apparitions of two different women. In the episode, Allen and DeShavi arrive separately in Bluffton. DeShavi's investigation uncovers the history of the property and area, including slave shacks that were burned by the British Army on their way to attack Charleston in 1779, and the inexplicable murder of Sly and the Family Stone lead guitarist Anthony Tony Hooks in 1988. Meanwhile, Allen visits the scene and shares her impressions, including describing seeing a murdered man in a rocking chair and rows of figures heading towards the restaurant. In terms of how we felt when we were in the restaurant, that
part's gone. Julio and I are back to a good place, Michelle said. Julio is working at Okatai Ale House, and Michelle is a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway. Her illness will be permanent, or illnesses, that is, will be permanent, but I feel like a different person. I feel human for the first time in a year, she went on to say. The damage, financial and emotional, from closing their restaurant hasn't completely healed either. We just take it one day at a time because it's too overwhelming to look at the big picture, Michelle said. They are hoping one day to find the right space and revive their restaurant dreams. I always said that our restaurant had the best customers. We all miss it, and despite everything, we really had some good times there, Michelle said. We made some good friends and have a lot of wonderful memories. The Dead Files airs on Travel Channel on at 9 p.m. on Saturdays, 1 a.m. on Sundays, and then this coming weekend, it will air at 8 p.m. on Saturday and midnight on Sunday. It can also be streamed on Discovery Plus. So there you go.
That's pretty cool. It sounds almost demonic by the way that they were reacting to it. It's definitely negative. Yeah, whatever was affecting the two of them.
That's for sure. It definitely sounds negative. That is for sure. I don't know if you know this or not, Bruiser, but since you've been on the show last, people are launching their space junk at the moon.
More people, huh?
Yeah, more people.
What does their way up against the moon? Is that a new dump?
Evidently, yeah. The Chinese finally got a rocket there on the moon. They just kind of flung it up there.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
Yeah.
We had to come up with if it's illegal for them to do that. And you said, yeah, it's like an act of war.
It can be, yeah. Well, to get through all those satellites, it can be, an act of war. A discarded part of a rocket has already crashed on the moon's far side by now, according to scientists. We're expecting the impact back last week, right around 12:25 GMT. I never know what global time that is.
What time did it say?
12:25 GMT.
So that would be 4, I think. Yeah. I think it's 8 hours.
Not sure. The 3-ton rocket part had been tracked for a number of years, but its origin was contested. At first, astronomers thought it might have belonged to Elon Musk's SpaceX firm, and then it was said it was Chinese, something that China denies. The effects of the impact on the moon should have been minor. The rocket stage would have dug out a small crater and created a plume of dust. Scientists hope to get confirmation in the coming days or weeks. The rocket part was first sighted from Earth in March of 2015. A NASA-funded space survey in Arizona spotted it, but quickly lost interest when the object was shown not to be an asteroid. So, is that an asteroid? Nope, forget it.
It's just junk then.
It's space junk. The rocket part is what's known as space junk. See, hardware discarded from missions or satellites without enough fuel or energy to return to Earth. Some pieces are closer to us, just above Earth, but others, like this booster, are thousands of kilometers away in high orbit, far from the Earth's atmosphere. The European Space Agency estimates there are now, get this, Bruiser, how much space junk do you think is out there in pieces? Larger,
how many pieces?
Yep, pieces. Larger than 10 centimeters.
I want to say over 1 billion.
Wow. No, not that much.
Okay, 1 million.
Not that much either.
1,000.
A little bit more than that.
5,000.
A little bit more than that, too. I'll give you one more guess.
10,000.
More than that. There are 36,500 pieces of space junk larger than 10 centimeters out there right now in space.
Sounds like my son's room when he was growing up.
No space program or university formally tracks deep space junk, because that means they'd have to actually get up and go out into deep space to count it. Monitoring space is expensive, and the risk to humans from high orbit debris are low. So
maybe that's why aliens are visiting Earth. Maybe they're trying to return our space junk.
That's exactly what it is. They're like, take back your shit.
You're cluttering our universe.
I can't fly straight.
Yeah, they're just very, very angry. Yeah.
They're a cleanly being. Very, very cleanly.
Yeah, they like to be able to fly without hitting our shit.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see like they're flying their UFO and space junk hits and their windshield wipers come up. Dang Earthlings!
This is all your fault. You have no idea how much this will cost. My deductible doesn't cover this. We move on. There's an article out there in Psychology Today. I love this magazine. I get it at 5 a.m. on my doorstep every Monday. I don't. About your unconscious shadow taking over your life or taking control of your life. Your struggles may be your shadow demanding to be heard, it says.
My shadow, huh?
Yeah.
So this is like a Peter Pan thing where I need it sewn back onto my feet or something, huh?
Yeah, little me and my shadow. You can do a little tap dance if you want while I read this. It's written from the point of a therapist by the name of Donald Altman, who's practical mindfulness. I'm going to try to skip to the high points here of this. He says the shadow is the part of us that our conscious self-identity or ego can't tolerate. By getting in touch with your shadow side, you experience your whole being. Mindfulness lets us tune into the ingrained patterns of shadow that speak to us, which command or suggest that we behave in a particular way. Those are the high points here. So let me tell you what he thinks the shadow is exactly. Basically, the shadow is that part of us that our conscious self-identity or ego can't tolerate. For whatever reason, the shadow doesn't fit in with how we want to present ourselves to the world. And so that part is banished underground. For example, your shadow could be something in you that was shamed or viewed as unwanted by your parents, such as your body, wild behavior, or creativity. And so that part of you that was not given a voice or seen as adequate was hidden away. The thing is, the shadow never really disappears. It might be out of view from your conscious mind and ego, but it is not hiding silently away. One of the radio's most popular shows through the 1930s and into the 1950s was a scary program called The Shadow. The opening lines of that program were both chilling and revealing. It went, "Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?" Or I could do it as a radio announcer if you'd like. "Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Only the shadow knows." That was the opening, by the way.
There's an Alec Baldwin movie, too.
Yeah, you remember that, huh? Yeah. I
worked in a video store, and I was a big fan of growing up. My dad always had old-timey radio on. The Shadow was a great thing to listen to.
Yeah, it was a great serial. It was a horribly crappy movie.
Yeah, the movie was terrible. Frank, it was so bad.
If you're a comic fan and you know who Frank Miller is, he tried to bring that to the silver screen, and it was a horrible adaptation. Frank Miller doesn't always hit home runs.
No, he doesn't. And for a while, a lot of people were angry at Frank Miller during that time period. I remember that.
Yes, indeed. Your shadow knows as well because the unconscious shadow never forgets. Boy, this sounds kind of hoity-toity, doesn't it? Not only that, but your banished shadow demands to be heard, even if it means sabotaging your life, career, and relationships. For some, the shadow takes over through addiction, numbing the pain that you cannot tolerate. It may crush you with depression, destroying your ability to be productive. It may terrorize you with anxiety, keeping you from enjoying your life. In each case, there is a hidden part of you that needs to be addressed and integrated into your life. Interesting. Now, there's a part here about mindfulness for identifying and accepting your shadow. Try to see if I can get through this somewhat quickly. It says, basically, you can invite your unconscious inside for a cup of tea. So it says, don't diminish the role of the unconscious in the universe. And basically, when it says inviting your basically
kind of like meditating. You're opening yourself up to all ranges, and you're inviting it.
Kind of. So
to come forward, I guess.
He's saying by getting in touch with your shadow side, you experience your whole being. That includes the good, the bad, and the indifferent. From this point of awakened awareness, you can start to integrate the exiled parts with compassion and acceptance, thus reducing the need to hit someone else over the head. So as written in the book, The Mindfulness Code, mindfulness lets us tune into what this person has termed as mind whispers, the ingrained pattern of shadow that speaks to us, which command or suggest that we behave or move in a particular direction. Awareness of those fleeting mind moments can sometimes help us catch the shadow at work or at play. At other times, the shadow can be identified by a feeling in the body or sense of unease or discomfort. Instead of mindlessly following the command of the mind whisper or trying to avoid the discomforting sensation, let yourself rest with it. Take a breath and get to know it better. The shadow has a message for you. And meditating is in there too, Bruiser. And meditating on it may actually help you befriend it and know it better. Besides, instead of thinking of the shadow as an unwanted or bad part of you, why not consider it as the poet Rumi did when he wrote the following? The minute I heard my first love story, I started looking for you, not knowing how blind that was. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. So, yeah, the idea is that it's there, it's talking to you, you ruminate about it, but you don't actually act on it right away. You let it settle and you decide whether you want to act on it or not.
And when you break up with somebody, you can go, it's not you, it's my shadow.
Yeah, exactly. You blame it on the shadow. There you go. You've got it right there, my friend.
That does cover a part that most people don't like, because he said it in there. It's something that's indifferent about you. Nobody likes to look at themselves.
Yeah.
And think of all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I can see why it's called a shadow and why it's does what it does.
Well, think about it. When you approach somebody, you approach them with the best of what you are. I don't come up to you and say, "Hey, Bruiser, you know what? I have this irritating habit of doing this," or I'm really not a great person when I do this. You don't put your worst foot forward. You always put your best foot forward, and especially when you first start approaching people, and even when you start to get to know somebody, you're always putting your best foot forward. And we are a prideful people. We always have been a prideful people. And it doesn't, I'm not saying that in terms of race or creed. I'm saying that as a population, it doesn't matter who you are, race, creed, color, it doesn't matter. The populace of Earth are prideful people. And everybody.
And we're constantly selling ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So we tend to suppress that darker side, that shadow, because we don't want people to know who we are.
I wonder how people always say that if they meditate or they go that next level, they know their whole being. That must mean they know their shadow, according to this guy, right?
Yeah, that they know they
know all sides of their personality.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, that includes acceptance, though. So you actually have to start to realize that you do some things.
And that's hard as a human being also, because we don't want to admit we did that. You know what I mean?
Denial is simple. Acceptance is very hard.
Yes.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of years to be able to accept that you're not a perfect person.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think till the day we die, we deal with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Which is probably when you're on your deathbed. That's why so many people have that epiphany and that moment of clarity, is because they realized it and they're truly ready to move on.
Yeah, exactly. You're right on that. Absolutely. You're right. Speaking of being on your deathbed and that last step, that last movement, Bruiser, they're going to get us, my friend. God damn it, they found a way. Nuclear fusion. We've come one step further, one step closer with a new AI breakthrough. Those bastards are going to get us with a nuclear explosion before Russia does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And then they're going to blame it on Russia.
Yeah, that's what they'll do. They're claiming in this article that the green energy revolution is getting closer. Oh no, my friends, don't be fooled. The green energy revolution promised by nuclear fusion is now a step closer, according to this article, thanks to the first successful use of a cutting-edge artificial intelligence system to shape the superheated hydrogen plasmas inside a fusion reactor. Don't do it. Please, for the love of God.
Let's think of this for a second. Let's give AI and the robots unlimited nuclear power. That's positive for the human race.
Yeah. And that one moment where they go, humans are not worthy. Humans need to be destroyed. And they just unleash the power of nuclear fusion on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. They survive. They have unlimited fuel. They can live forever, and we're gone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The successful trial indicates that the use of AI could be a breakthrough in the long-running search for electricity generated from nuclear fusion, bringing its introduction to replace fossil fuels and nuclear fission on modern power grids tantalizingly closer. You know what that means? It just means they're going to kill us quicker. I think
Skynet is real.
It is real.
It is.
People don't accept that from me. They think I'm just cuckoo and the nut.
No, but you're not. I firmly am 100% anti-AI with you. I mean, a little bit of AI is okay, but like, let's not let it control things. Don't give it nuclear power, please. So, yeah.
Well, I think with that, we pretty much got the gist of that. They're gonna line up AI to do nuclear fusion, and we're done. But Bruiser, you, my friend, had your own run-in.
Yep.
You need to tell us, my friend, what happened.
So, as you know, I was in Iowa over the weekend. And
a scary place on its own.
Right. Well, yeah, considering the fact that where I wrestled, there was tornadoes 20 miles away. Anyways, rented a car to take out there. And it was a newer, I'm not going to say what kind of car it was, but when you put the cruise control on it, it said radar ready, which confused my wife and I.
It said what?
So when you hit the cruise control to turn on the cruise control button on the little dash, it said radar ready. And this grid came up. And we're like, okay, well, what's this? Set your speed. Then all of a sudden, as you're going, the car just starts to slow down on us. We switch lanes and it just starts speeding up by itself. We're trying to figure out what is going on. I guess this radar ready reads how far a car is in front of you.
Yeah.
And it'll speed up and slow down so you can stay the proper distance from this car. But it also has it on the side where if a guy just kind of veers over into your lane, the car beeps at you and shifts on its own to avoid it. So while we're driving, this is all happening. Well, now we're heading back. Obviously, there's high winds. The car wants to compensate for the high winds, but it doesn't do like a gradual turn. It just starts jerking, and we almost ended up in the ditch like 3 or 4 times. It got to the point where my arms were tired from fighting the steering wheel in the wind that we had to pull over and get a hotel room.
Jeez.
It was, this car tried to kill us.
That is bizarre.
It is. I've never seen a radar ready. And then it would beep at you and push either the right or the left, depending where the wind or the car was coming from. And it didn't compensate for where you were on the road. You know what I mean? Like, it just... I fought a car and I won.
Did you then, before you turned it into the agent, did you point at it and say evil, evil, and then throw Molotov cocktails at it and run?
we returned it at night, kind of just left the keys and never want to see that car again.
So kind of an anticlimactic finish to the deal.
Yeah, we didn't blow the car up or anything. I mean, we arrived safely and alive.
Well, no, that's good. I mean,
sorry to disappoint you.
No, thank God. I mean, I'm glad you're here. I just, I was expecting like torch it and kill it with fire, or you dumped it into a giant liquid molten vat like they did with Schwarzenegger, or
Yeah, let's go with that. I drove it to a
smelting
molten plant, a smelting plant.
Smelting plant, yeah.
And I didn't just drive it onto a lift and lower it in the molten. No, I jumped over the molten, jumped out of the car, and hung onto a chain to swing to a ledge as the car splashed into the hot molten.
And then you went like this. You went,
Hasta la vista, baby. Right?
And then a thumb came up from the molten, give me a thumbs up, and then slowly lower back in.
Oh, scary. That is awesome. Now that's how you end a story. I don't know. All right. Well, on that note, we'll that is, see, I'm glad you lived, my friend. I'm glad you took care of the Terminators.
Oh, so terrifying. Radar ready. It scared me. I thought, okay, this is going to be lasers and stuff like that. And then the car started moving on its own, accelerating on its own, decelerating on its own.
Yeah.
Just terrifying.
Yeah. Next time you're going to have to bring a shotgun with you, just like Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Yep. Just saying. Well, with that, I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad the missus survived. I'm glad that just don't, I mean, you're going to have to start packing for future trips.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start watching out for that AI.
That's right.
Whenever I get a rental car, I'm going to ask, does this have AI? Are we okay?
Yeah. Is this a Skynet mobile? They may look at you funny, but then you know that they're in bed with Skynet.
They got the microchips.
That's right. That's when you know that they're in bed with Skynet. Tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, 2 monster black holes are headed towards a collision that will rock the fabric of space-time. Oh, sure, hyperbole. Could be. You'll find out on the next episode of Soap. And then we've got, we're looking for Bigfoot. But why aren't all people looking for Bigfoot? And is Bigfoot trying to find Bigfoot? That's more of that kind of confusing stuff. And Canada is prepared to put all its UFO stuff out there. And I'm not a very good singer, and we'll find out why after the break. It's coming up next on Supernatural News right here on Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio on a Supernatural News Wednesday. It's myself, Tim Dennis, and Beer City Bruiser. And by gosh, let me think here. You know what, Bruiser? I don't know if you want to address this or not. Should we address the elephant in the room real quick?
Yeah, let's definitely address the elephant.
Are you all right over there?
AI, man, we were talking. They're listening to us. The microphone just all of a sudden started freaking out on me.
You're like, boom, boom. Are you okay over there? Do I need to send a social worker?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. So,
all right, good.
Let's get to the other elephant in the room.
Okay. There was a little announcement that was made on a certain television program, and everybody kind of bombarded you on social media. I just want to know if you want to just let people know if you're going to be at that certain underwater needlepoint company.
I don't know what's going on right now. It all happened last minute. Me and the roster found out when everybody else did, when Mr. TK came out and announced it live on national television. Just been talking to random people. We're still waiting to see. I guess they got to figure out what they're going to do with it before they figure out where we all fit in.
Okay.
But I'm still with the other companies, and I'm open. Like, if they want to give me a call, they got my number.
There you go. Yeah.
And I'll be happy to go back. It's just, I understand it's one company acquiring another company, so now they just got to figure out what they're going to do with it. And there's all those rumors out there. Everybody thinks they know, but the only people that know are Tony Khan and his crew guys. And
that's right.
They're keeping it close to the chest right now.
There you go. There you go. It's a Supernatural News Wednesday. That's just for the people, so you don't have to keep bombarding Bruiser on his social media. He, like he said, he doesn't know any more than anybody else or any of us here on the program. So we figured we'll do that public service announcement for you guys. Let's get back into the news, shall we, Bruiser?
Let's do it.
Why aren't all the people who are looking for Bigfoot finding Bigfoot?
I don't think they're looking hard enough. He's there, but he is the world hide and seek champion.
He is. He's pretty good at that stuff. Lauren Coleman weighed in on it this past week. And if you don't know who Lauren Coleman is, well, shame on you. We've had him on the show many a times here on Darkness Radio.
Here's a spoiler. It says in the headline, "Ladies, get your camping gear ready." Wah, wah. I don't know. Do I have a little Barry White in the background here? I don't think I do. It says here that cable television is full of folks knocking about the woods looking for Bigfoot. Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot even came to Maine in search of Bigfoot, but there's not much finding for all of that looking. The people who wrote this article asked Maine's own Lauren Coleman, a world-famous cryptozoologist working in the field of as yet undiscovered creatures for more than half a century, why he thinks that is. Part of the answer could be technology, he said, having the right camera at the right time, which is a solid answer. By the time you get out your cell phone, turn it on, the Bigfoot has already left, he said, which is a good answer. I think of all the tree knocking, howling, finding nests, they're all really getting distracted. The way that Bigfoot will be discovered is in one small area of the Pacific Northwest when a group of women go out and just stay in the woods for 6 months. Hey, no, Lauren, that's hey. Woo. Maybe impossible, Coleman said, given people's busy lives, but he has a theory. I have a feeling that there's something in the pheromones in males that are driving Bigfoot from them. And most of the success that's occurring is with small groups of women that are having contact with no guns and maybe not even cameras, and really not getting all excited because they don't find evidence right away, he said. Jane Goodall and every other primatologist that's had success has been female, and I think that's going to be the future. Interesting.
That makes sense, because he's absolutely right. Jane Goodall and they're all female, and Bigfoot supposedly is an ape. I don't get the women don't have the guns and the cameras. I mean,
well, to present,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. In the meantime, he predicts New Guinea and Sumatra may be the locations of the next as yet undiscovereds to be found. I've been predicting for quite a few years now that New Guinea will be the source of new animals being discovered, new species, and not too far away from there. Sumatra is, I think, the next place where a little hairy creature called the orang pendek will be discovered, Coleman said. All of those people looking for the Loch Ness Monster, looking for Bigfoot, they'll keep doing it, but the real success will be in Southeast Asia. In that area, I think more and more it will become the place to find new animals. Interesting. Lauren is very sharp, very on top of it. But yeah, he brings up an interesting point, and that is, he brings up the pheromones. There are a lot of guys out there that want to, stomp around in the woods, and you do get a lot of testosterone. You do get a lot of heightened awareness. You do get a lot of, rough and tumble out there looking for Bigfoot. And if Bigfoot senses the aggression, I wouldn't want to come out either.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you walked into a bar before and you could sense all the alpha males in there. It's like, okay, this maybe isn't the place we want to hang out.
Yeah.
Of course, Bigfoot would not want to do that. I mean, they don't seem like an aggressive species. So why would they want to pick a fight? And especially if they're outnumbered.
Yeah, exactly.
And females give up. I mean, you think about it, a child wants his mother to be coddled. When you think of care, you think of a woman.
Yep. So
those pheromones, and Bigfoot's like, okay, either that or Bigfoot's just a giant player. And figured, hey, the more the merrier, I'm coming.
That's right. Hey, you're going to line them up. I'm going to knock them down.
I also think, too, like another thing that might work into this theory is, what if in the Bigfoot species, the females stay with the young and the males go out and hunt and gather? So the males are the ones that are wandering around. And that's, again, they sense the pheromones from the females, and that draws them to there because they don't feel they will be attacked.
That's true.
It's another thing to think of,
Yeah, the males are the hunter gatherers, and the females are you're right. Yeah, that's a very I mean, I suppose mom's not going out to work type of deal but it's a dated concept. But mom's probably not going out to work in the Bigfoot community. You never know. I mean, But yeah, you're right. Yeah, it could be that way as well. Yeah. Let's move on. We'll go to Canada, where they're preparing a report into possible UFO incursions at nuclear facilities, and will consider reaching out to U.S. allies. Interestingly enough. Here's the story. It's kind of a weird little interesting story. Canada's deputy minister within its Department of Natural Resources is to prepare a report regarding any incidents involving drones or UAP. The deputy minister will also consider reaching out to the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission to better assess the nature and extent of UAP and how it is handling such reports and investigations. These actions were requested on March 2nd by Member of Parliament Larry Maguire, who's the vice chair of the Canadian Parliament's Standing Committee on Natural Resources. With current tensions with Russia escalating, it seems that Maguire is keen for Canada. Keen for Canada. That sounds like a group, doesn't it?
That's a T-shirt.
That is. I'm keen for Canada.
Keen for Canada, eh?
You want to wear that one when you're vacationing in Jamaica, by the way. Keen for Canada to work with its U.S. allies to investigate any incidents of UAP or drones around nuclear installations. Significantly, Maguire also serves as Deputy Shadow Minister. That's a title right there.
That's a title. Deputy Shadow Minister
for Natural Resources, a portfolio that includes nuclear, which suggests Canada's conservative opposition may now be looking to take the UAP issue seriously. Canada's deputy minister within its Department of Natural Resources is to prepare a report regarding any incidents involving drones or UAP around the nation's nuclear facilities. I think it's beginning to repeat itself a little bit here. It says these actions were requested by Larry Maguire. Maguire stated and asked in January, the Swedish Security Service announced an investigation of drones at 3 of their nuclear power plants. There have also been reports over the years of other unknown drone-type flying objects flying over Canadian nuclear facilities. In the security that we're in today, it has recently been announced in the United States legislation that is just passed for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to report the number of incidents and descriptions thereof of UAP or drones of unknown origin associated with nuclear power generation stations, nuclear fuel storage sites, or facilities regulated by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So I am wondering if any of the department officials are aware of the legislation that was passed in the U.S. Congress regarding these specific clauses. Hannaford responded that he was not familiar with the U.S. legislation, but stressed the importance of security at nuclear facilities. Maguire responded that he would send Hannaford the relevant information before asking if Hannaford had ever received reports of drones or UAP over Canadian nuclear facilities, to which Hannaford responded, "I have not." So it looks like they're looking into it.
Yeah.
But, interesting that Canada is now interested in UAP around its nuclear facilities.
I do find it interesting that they're not going straight military with it. You know, like who's spying on our, they actually are including unknown aerial phenomenons. All, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that shows how far along we've come as a species. That's an option now.
Very true. 2 more stories to this day here on Supernatural News. You know what? I do have a Parashare that you know what? I'm going to pull it up real quick. That's what she said. All right, Bruiser. So we have for Parashare this week, before we do our final 2 stories of the week, we have an interesting recurring dream. Parashare from Val. Val wrote in and said, "Hey, Tim, I want to share some reoccurring dreams I used to have when I was a kid. I recorded myself instead of writing or calling. I don't know if this is allowed." Of course it's allowed, Val. Again, you can either send us an email, tim@darknessradio.com, or you can call in 651-300-4977. Once again, 651-300-4977. It just made me feel more comfortable than calling. Then by all means, you can send an audio clip via email if you'd like to tim@darknessradio.com. She says that she sent a couple, but here's the deal, Val. I'll tell you this on air rather than sending you back an email. You sent me one dream sequence, and then it spammed me like 20 times. So I don't know what's going on with your email. So I'm going to play one of the dreams. This is the first dream, and it was the first dream you sent me. But then it spammed me for some reason. So we need your second dream. So we'll play your first dream here, Val, and then we'll weigh in on it. So here is Val's dream.
Hi, Tim, and exalted co-host of the week. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on these two reoccurring dreams I had when I was little. So the first dream I had was when I was living in my hometown of Sitka, Alaska. I had a favorite toy store there. It was probably the only toy store there, honestly. It was a small island. But I'd be in the toy store and I'd be looking around for toys. And the entire top of the building would come off, like the roof would just like disappear. There'd be a helicopter above, and it'd be shining this light down on me, and I would try to run from the light, and I could never hide. The light always found me. So I'd eventually leave the toy store. I would run to this national historical park we had on the island. It had totems from the local indigenous culture, and so if you picture it, there's like lots of hemlock and spruce, and you'd be in this national park and it'd be on the trail, and there'd be totems lining the trail telling their story. And if you've ever been in these type of woods, you know it's like dark and there's not a lot of light that gets through these huge tall piney trees, you know, spruce, hemlock, those sort of things. But yet the helicopter would always find me. The light would always find me, and then I would wake up. So that's, dream number one.
Okay, Bruiser, what do you think?
That's interesting. That's really interesting to go back to your child, to the toy store. So that obviously means something important. And it sounds like something's looking for her almost with that helicopter and the beam of light. No matter what she could do, she couldn't hide from the light. So I don't know if subconsciously she's looking for something. Could it be? Or something she feels she needs to do something? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Val, to give you an idea of what I looked up meaning of dreams of helicopters. I want to look at it from a perspective of what you're actually dreaming about from a chemical and not so much an esoteric, but a chemical reason why you're dreaming about, or a real life reason why you're dreaming about helicopters as opposed to a spiritual reason. According to what I'm looking at, it says, essentially, when you're being chased by a helicopter, being looked at by a helicopter, it should imply being frightened of being managed, or your freedom is in some way being repressed. So as you're being chased and the helicopter keeps finding you, you're being repressed by something. The light's being shown on you. So you're hiding something. It seems like you're hiding something. The toy store represents joy. It represents the fact that you're happy in your happiest moment. The helicopter represents somebody who's trying to keep that joy from you. So it keeps shining that light on you that you're in your happiest moment, yet you don't want somebody to find out about the fact that you're in your happiest moment. And it keeps finding you and shaming you, for lack of a better term. And that's the simplicity of what a psychologist would tell you that dream means.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then she's running to, she said, with the totems and stuff and the hemlock and the spruce and all the trees, trying to run to some place where there's cover.
Yes.
Because like she said, you go out there normally during the day, whatever, nothing gets through those leaves and stuff.
Right.
But this helicopter still does. And it's like you said, trying to restrain her in some way.
Yep. So that helicopter probably represents an authority figure. It represents somebody who's important in your life, whose opinion you value quite greatly, who is judging you for one thing or another, having to do with something you enjoy quite a bit.
Or she's getting ready to start something she enjoys, and she could be worried about how this person is going to react.
Yep.
And that could be weighing on her mind also. Like, this opportunity presented itself.
Yes.
I'm going to be happy, but I know X is going to play devil's advocate, if you will, or look at the other side of the coin.
Yep. And that forest represents a place where you think you're untouchable, where that person normally doesn't go, where you believe that you'll be safe from that person. Maybe it's your mother is after you all the time about things, and you think you can go to grandma's and you're safe. But for some reason, that person can step up over grandma and get to you there. It could be something as simple as that, and that's what that dream interpretation is. Dreams are an interesting thing in how we work things out, and work out our fears. Sometimes our brains, and sometimes spiritually, we work ourselves out in our dreams as well to get ourselves ready for certain situations, to toughen ourselves up, if you will, before we actually have to go through certain situations. We get ourselves ready in the dream world so that we can deal with things in the real world.
I put a lot of stock in dreams in many areas. Like you said, getting prepared for something. Because in your dream, you do the worst case scenario if you're having a nightmare. If you're not, it's best case scenario. I also believe it's a link to people we've lost. Dreaming of someone that has passed away recently and having a conversation with them. And these dreams, I think, all happen at certain points in people's lives, or it could cause anxiety or a change or something like that. So I always put a lot of stock in dream. And if you're having a reoccurring dream, you got to go back and look at what's happening in your life that's consistent, still going on every day, that you're having these dreams. And if I remember correctly, all reoccurring dreams are still one thing different. So try and notice what's different, even though hey, I've had this dream before. There's still something different in it. I've read someplace, and that's how you can kind of help reinterpret these dreams too, is you notice the differences in them.
Right.
And it could be a little small thing. Like for her, it could be one of the totem symbols on a totem is different, or the hemlock's not hemlock, it's pine now, or something like that.
Right. Exactly. Okay, let's do a couple of Parashare stories, and then we'll do the last couple of stories, and then we are out for the day. Can I mention who this person is? I think I can. This one comes from Andrew. It says, "Hey guys, love the show. I've been a fan for over a decade. As a big wrestling fan, I need to check out some Beer City Bruiser matches."
Well, thank you.
There it says.
You'll be entertained. They're on YouTube.
There you go. It says at 1:20:30 into your February 2nd, 2022 Supernatural News Parashare episode, you read a story about some kind of time warp or teleportation. My dad told a similar story and gave me permission to send in the following. Okay, interesting. I used to travel on business to Japan several times a year. On one occasion in 1993 or 94, I don't recall which year, I had a free weekend and decided to do some exploring in the mountains of northern Honshu. The mountain roads were narrow and twisting with no lighting. I was enjoying the day and lost track of the time. I was approximately 200 to 250 miles from the city I was staying in when I realized that it was already 6 p.m. There was no way I could make it back to my hotel before dark, and I was concerned about driving those unfamiliar roads in the pitch dark. In retrospect, I seem to have been overly concerned and nervous about it. At that point, it was as if I blacked out or something. The next thing I knew, I was driving on the road near my hotel. I was so startled that I pulled over immediately to let my heart slow down. I looked at my watch, and only 5 or 10 minutes had passed. Since I was on top of a mountain several hundred miles away, I don't know what happened or how it happened, but I still get a very uncomfortable feeling when I think about it. I absolutely love this story, besides it being or besides being a little bit biased to my relation to the storyteller, I like that it is short and sweet and has such an air of mystery about it. Google Northern Honshu Mountains and imagine yourself in the beautiful, quiet solitude of Mother Nature as a sense of unease creeps into your pores and you feel yourself slowly being pulled to the edge of darkness. That is kind of a creepy image there. Thank you, Andrew. It says until next time, y'all, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for that story.
That's an amazing story, too. I love how he got the timing, you know what I mean? Like I was able to go with him through his travel and, hundreds of miles in just minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Let's do one more here. Let's see here. Who am I going to pull up here? Oh, yeah, this one's a good one. This person chooses to remain anonymous. This one's kind of a creeper here. It says, "Hey, Tim and wonderful co-host. I would like to start by remaining anonymous due to my line of work, but keen listeners will remember a couple of stories from when I've called in the past, or called in the past. Okay, period. Let that breathe. I figured where we are in a new phase of darkness radio, a few old stories and some new ones too would be fitting. I am a funeral director, and because of that, I have spent a lot of time around the deceased. Surprisingly, to some, this is a very rewarding career path and not as terrifying as some may think, but it still has its spooky moments. Here are a few of my experiences that I've had over my career. When I was getting my feet wet in funeral service, maybe that's not the right wording, getting your feet wet in funeral service, it's never a good thing. I remember sitting at the front desk of the funeral home. From my desk, I could see the front door and a side door which led to the basement. I was alone in the funeral home, which is very common, and I watched the side door slam shut. It was being held in place by a brick. I know we're a classy bunch. And the door just slammed shut. There was no windows open or major drafts happening that I could tell. Unbelievably, I kept my post. I mean, someone had to be at the funeral home in case we were needed. But it was a very nerve-wracking afternoon. I've also been in this funeral home and heard people on the floor above me arguing. I would go upstairs to check it out, thinking my coworkers came in when I was napping. I mean, on slow days, we just can't go out and kill people to get business. But there was no one up there. To this day, I have no idea what I was hearing. Another time, a coworker of mine who has an equal love for all things paranormal went over there at night with me. We had to clean up the chapel, and while we were there cleaning, we thought it would be funny to talk to the spirits. Just as I asked, "Is anyone in here with us?" a man's voice boomed over the sound system. He was talking about God and hellfires. My colleague and I were already pale. I mean, we are undertakers after all, but we went a whole other whiter shade of pale. This is until we realized our wireless sound system was left on, and it was picking up on the church service happening across the street. Mysterious religious guy debunked, but I still cannot explain the other things that happened there.
That would terrify me with the big booming voice, but then it turns out like he debunked it, which is great.
I would have shit my britches right there. That would have been,
I would have too. Yeah. What?
Yep. More recently, I was with my colleague and we were going out to a hospice to pick up a descendant. The nurse let us know that the person was in the room on the left wing and was the only room in the back. She said the family had left and we could go right inside. As we made our way closer to the room, we could hear a man and a woman having a muffled conversation. I could not make out clearly what they were saying, but the conversation sounded upbeat and jovial. We both heard it, so we just decided that the nurse must not have known that some of the family went back to say goodbye. We decided to wait and just give them the time they needed. As we waited and the conversation kept going on, it almost sounded like a television in the far-off room, but it was clearly coming from the descendants' room. Again, it was the only one down on this wing. The nurse came by and asked us what we were doing because the family was waiting for us and for an honor guard. We said to her that we were waiting for the couple in the room to leave, and she just kind of turned white and said, "There's no couple in that room, just Mr. So-and-so." She went ahead of us, opened the door, and just as soon as she did, the talking stopped, and there was no one there. Just the gentleman we were about to bring to the funeral home. I remember him looking very peaceful and cannot help wonder but if he was talking to his wife, who had passed on before him.
Oh, that's a very nice story.
Yeah. This person continues, I am also an embalmer, and that has also resulted in some strange activity. I remember doing an embalming on Christmas Eve and was just talking to the deceased, as I do. They are wonderful listeners. I made a comment to her about her family members and that they're really going to miss her, so we had to get her all dolled up for them. And one of my bottles of chemicals went flying off the shelf. I still wonder if she was trying to tell me something. I really do not know. I have also been alone in the funeral home embalming and have had the music shut off or a song randomly skip. I just assume they do not like my taste in music. The person continues, the building itself just has an energy different than anything I've ever felt. I think all funeral homes have this energy. I don't believe spirits stick around the funeral home. I mean, why would they? But I do think that folks stick around during the arrangements, visiting and funeral. I know I would, just to see how many people show up or if there is any good scandal. Interestingly enough, before I get to the end of this email, Marianne Winkowski, who is the real-life ghost whisperer, has been on our show many, many times. And she sees only earthbound spirits and sees them move into that light. She said that universal light is everywhere for spirits to move into. But she says one of the place that light always is in funeral homes. And she said exactly what this undertaker says, and that is that this that and it's exactly what this person's saying, is that these spirits do stay around to see who shows up to their funeral, what people are wearing, what they're saying, who shows up just basically to pay their respects, and then they do go to that light. So yeah, they are around. They are around for a few days after they pass, because they do want to see, they want to finish up business, and they want to see who comes to pay their respects, and then they go.
That could also, with that theory, be an understanding of why some haunted locations that were once funeral homes have angry spirits there, because they're thinking if they're in this funeral home, they can do everything you just said and then go in the light. But now this funeral home's not running anymore or whatever. I'm assuming all that energy goes away. And they're stuck there, so that could possibly be what makes them angry.
True. So that's about it for the email. Just says, thanks for taking the time to read my ramblings. It's very much appreciated. And if you have more stories from the funeral home, please let us know. They're very, very intriguing and very entertaining.
And you don't see a lot of undertakers, embalmers, funeral home directors talking about their paranormal experiences a lot. I wonder why. Like, is that frowned upon in the funeral home industry? Or, think about it. If you talk to an undertaker who deals with death on a daily basis, they've got to have some stories.
I'm sure they do. And let me wrap up this, and then I'll go ahead and I'll respond to that. This person also goes on to say, I have been really enjoying the co-host you have on, and dare I say, I think I've learned a little something about underwater needle pointing, so win-win, which is good. So thank you very much, Anonymous Undertaker.
Yes, thank you.
My Uncle Wally, who's now gone, he passed away a couple of years ago, worked for Washburn McGreevy, which is one of the huge funeral homes here in the Twin Cities. And he volunteered in the years that he was retired, and he was kind of like a greeter, helped the families who were grieving, would do whatever. I mean, he wasn't a mortician, but he was a family services guy. So okay. he would drive hearses. He would do whatever he could to help out. And I was kind of curious as to why he would do that. I thought maybe he was having an issue with facing his own mortality or something like that. And it had nothing to do with that. What it was he was always intrigued about this show and why I wanted to do this show, because he thought maybe I had an issue with dealing with death. I told him I always wanted more answers. To me, it never seemed enough to be dealt the answers I was dealt. For him, he said, you know what? The greatest service that he could think of was to turn around and be able to help people who truly needed it at the time, that were truly grieving, that he was fine with the answers he had, that he knew that he knew where he was going. But that there were people who were truly in need and he wanted to be there for them. And I asked him that question because he would always smile when we talk about the show. And I said, so have you had experiences there, Washburn McGreevy? And he'd smile and say, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But the thing being is that you knew by that smile he had.
Right.
But he
gave you that tongue-in-cheek answer.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that why wouldn't you? It'd be like saying, well, I went to McDonald's to work today, and guess what? I saw a Big Mac. It's to be expected. Things are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just part of the job. And my Uncle Wally was one of the bravest, toughest men I've ever known. But in that it was just commonplace. It was part of life. And he understood that this process, you're born and there's a process to being born. There's a process to our lives. It's a ritual over and over again. There's a ritualistic side of life. There's birthdays, there's anniversaries, there's celebrations. And then at the end, there's a ritualistic side of death. And he helps people through that ritual. And so he knew that at this ritualistic side of death, that there would be experiences. So to him, it was an experience. And sometimes you need to be private about that experience. And sometimes that story is somebody else's story, and it's not your story to tell. And he knew that much. So that's why there were sometimes, if it was a personal story that happened to him, he could share it. But if it was something that had happened and involved somebody's family, he wouldn't tell it.
Right. He has out of respect for the family, which is very admirable.
Yeah.
That's very honorable.
Yeah. So,
and to do what he did in the later part, just the unselfishness there. You know what I mean? Like, because you're seeing people on some of their worst day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to him say, I want to help.
Yeah. He was a very compassionate man. He and he knew that there would be a day where he would pass and there would be people there for our family. And he just knew that it was a cycle. There was a ritual to it. But he also knew that even though we would be sad, we would also know that there would be no reason to be sad. That sooner more than later, we would join him. We would see him. We would be reunited with him. So, there's no reason to be, there's a reason to be temporarily sad, but not to meander about.
There's a time to grieve.
Exactly.
Yep.
Let's get to the last two stories of our show today. Speaking of ghosts, a ghostly extra shows up in a family photograph as everybody is out frolicking about in the water and going about their vacation. This innocent picture captured during a family day out to a popular swimming spot appears to show something quite unexpected. Back in 2014, Kim Davison, who hails from Queensland in Australia, had gone swimming with her friend Jessie Lou and their 3 children at a place called Murphy's Hole at the Lockyer River. I never want to be caught in Murphy's Hole. I don't want Murphy to even know I'm close to Murphy's Hole. We'll just leave it at that.
Nothing about this sounds like I want to go swimming in it.
Yeah, I don't want to even take a dip in Murphy's Hole. It had been an idyllic day out, but when they returned from the trip and took a look at their photographs that they had taken, they noticed that one of the images appeared to show a mysterious fourth child visible in the water between the two adults in the back. That's right. There are 4 kids in the photo, and they only have 3. Yikes. Most disturbing of all,
husband goes, honey, is there something you forgot to tell me?
That's right. Was there a dalliance that we didn't talk about? Most disturbing of all, however, was the discovery that almost 100 years ago, a young girl by the name of Doreen Sullivan had reportedly drowned in Murphy's Hole. That's a bad sentence. At that very spot. Davison even claimed that her daughter had complained about something grabbing her leg twice while they were swimming there. Oh, that's creepy.
That's very creepy.
Yeah. When I went back in for one last dip to cool off, I did feel something behind me as I was walking out of the water, but I tried to ignore it, she recalled. So there you go. Murphy's Hole.
Doesn't add to the... I know people that can't swim in lakes because they can't see the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they're afraid something's going to grab them or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, I just leave it to faith. If I haven't gone swimming in a lake, though, in a long time.
Neither have I.
The last attempt was the ocean, but I could see the bottom, and I could also see, sharks or anything massive coming at me. But the last time I was in the ocean, I messed up my Sharko foot, so I don't think I'm going in the water anytime soon.
Yeah, you're done with water, huh?
I'm done with water because of the Sharko foot. It's kind of a sad thing.
At least it's still go and take pictures. You might catch you might have a child eventually.
I might. You never know. You never know. The last one is kind of a cute story. I pulled it aside for you here, Bruiser, because I know it'd be one of those aw moments for you. Welcome to Ponyhenge.
All right.
Yeah,
Now, just going off what you're saying, I want to tell you what I'm picturing in my head.
Okay.
I'm just picturing a bunch of ponies stacked up like Stonehenge and just standing there enjoying the day.
You got it.
Well, I did. Okay. Yep. All right.
It's a massive, mysterious, ever-growing graveyard for rocking horses in Massachusetts. I'm figuring, if you get out to the East Coast on some dates, you could probably, I want you to take a picture on one of these ponies for me.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's in Massachusetts?
It's in Massachusetts. Put it on your social media and we'll share it with the Darkness Radio audience. Ponyhenge is significantly less ancient than the English rock monument from which its name derives. The roadside rocking horse graveyard in Lincoln, Massachusetts only dates back 12 or so years. So it's not, an ancient pony rocking graveyard thingy.
It's still too early to have some sort of urban legend attached to it.
Right. It's pretty much just a junkyard. But like Stonehenge, its creation and purpose are shrouded in mystery. Not really. I think the guy just had too many rocking horses.
Yeah. What are we going to do with these rocking horses? Hey, I'll do this.
Throw them out in the yard. And then somebody said, hey, Ponyhenge, let's go take pictures.
The whole time the guy's like, hey, get off my ponies. Come on, get off my lawn.
Hey, what are you doing? We're taking pictures of Ponyhenge. And he's like, hey, I can make some money off this deal.
Yeah.
Right? According to Atlas Obscura, toy horses started appearing in the small New England town in 2010. First, there was a toy horse discarded in a field on the side of Old Sudbury Road. Jimmy Pingen and Elizabeth Graver, who owned the pasture and lived next door, told the Boston Globe in 2015 that the prop was left over from a headless horseman display that they had set up for Halloween. They thought a kid might find it and play with it, but they never imagined that the horse would inspire a local landmark that lives on more than a decade later.
Well, I'd be happy. It's still around a decade later, making people happy.
That's right. After the first equine seed was planted, other horse toys began showing up randomly in the area. Soon a herd of rocking horses. Oh, that would piss me off. I put one rocking horse out in a field, and some jackass shows up and throws another one out there. And just decides.
After a while, you're just the local dump for rocking horses.
And then especially if they put one on top of the other like it was humping it, then I'd really get pissed off. Right? And I'd be like, oh, you effing jackass. So after the first seed was planted, so to speak, other toy horses began showing up randomly in the area. Soon a herd of rocking horses, hobby horses, and horse models filled the clearing. Now I'm getting pissed because that's good land being wasted. Dozens of ponies littered the space at any given time. There's a video to this deal, but I'm not playing it. The crowdsourced art
just make you mad. People throwing out horses on someone's land.
I would, yeah. This isn't the dump, you screw-offs. The crowdsourced art installation is what they're calling it. Is constantly changing. Sometimes
AKA a dump.
A dump. Sometimes the horses are arranged in a circle like their stone counterpart across the Atlantic, and sometimes they're lined up side by side as if preparing to race. Oh, isn't that cute? The COVID-19 pandemic inspired someone to outfit the ponies with surgical masks. That's a good waste of masks, isn't it?
I was going to say, we have people passing away, and you're just putting masks on broken horses.
Yep. And the 2020 election attracted political signs with horse-related punts. Oh, God. See, now I want to burn it with fire. The pony henge sits on private property. Visitors are welcome as long as they act respectfully. Is anything I've read said respectful to you?
Nothing. It's just dumping everything. Like, I'm going to go put my butt on a horse and take a picture.
Yeah. One couple even got married on the site in March 2020 because they were cheap and they had nowhere else to go. To get there, here you go, Bruiser. Follow Route 117 west to Old Sudbury Road, then drive down the street for about half a mile. You'll see the Rocking Horse Graveyard. It'll be on your left. You can also plug the address 39 Old Sudbury Road, Lincoln, Mass. in your GPS or for directions. Even if you've been there before, the attraction is worth a repeat visit. You never know what pony henge will look like on any given day. Probably like a bunch, I can tell you right now, a bunch of
it's gonna look like garbage.
It does. It looks like somebody just threw their effing ponies out in the yard.
You're so fired up about this that when I actually go there, instead of taking a picture of me there, I'm going to record a video of me throwing a My Little Pony onto the pile.
Do it. Just be like, one more for the pile.
This one's for Tim Dennis.
You should just write my name on it, Timmy.
I will.
Throw it in there. Good God. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. My pony henge has now become pony revenge. I want to throw something on that pile, but you know what I want to do? Now I want to take, you remember those styrofoam curls from when you were here at the studio? I want to put them,
dump it all over.
Yes. I want to put it underneath each one of those effing ponies like they took a shit.
Perfect. I'll bring some with me.
There you go.
I gotta look at what I gotta call Malonis. He's over there.
See?
He was real close there, probably.
See,
hey man, I gotta come out.
I'll give you a giant box of those styrofoam curls, and you can put it underneath the ass of each one of those ponies. We'll rainbow color the sons of bitches, and you can. Because look they're rainbow colored. I don't know if I've shown you. Oh, wait, no, it's gonna.
I haven't seen any. I just love it how mad you're getting because it's just litter.
It is. It's litter. It's litter henge is what this is. You see that?
Well, it's real colorful.
That's like a rocking horse from the 70s.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's the guys who were on LSD made the pony. Oh, I can't. We got to get out of here. I can't. I'm going to end up banging
If I was a thrift store owner, I would open up near there and sell only rocking horses.
You know,
make $1 million.
You know what I'd sell? You'd make $1 million and one if you just sold saddles for those things. Because anyone who's dumb enough to go out and spend time out there would probably buy the saddle to ride it.
They would. You're absolutely right.
And then you know what else you sell for it? Feed for the horses. You sell little $1 bags of like Cheerios. Yep. Go feed
and the people actually think these horses eat, even though they're wooden and tin and plastic.
Yep. So you sell a little bit of feed, you sell a saddle, and and then little fairy wands, so you can make a wish on the ponies.
Or I just sell garbage bags and tell them to pick up their litter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, go pick up your horse already. It's been out there long enough. I think that'll do it for this week. Yeah. That's supernatural news. Tomorrow, Bruiser, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
We have got a big surprise in store for you. How much do you fear, my friend, when you go on a paranormal investigation? How terrified, you see what I did there, are you? Is there a trail that you follow when you're on a paranormal investigation? Do you see what I'm doing here, Bruiser?
I see it.
I'm dropping hints. Is there a destination that you're headed to when you go on your paranormal investigation? That's right. The kids from I shouldn't say kids, but I'm an old man. The investigators from Destination Fear will be with us tomorrow as we talk about.
They're not kids anymore.
They're not.
They've grown. Like they're in like their 4th or 5th season. They've grown.
Yeah, actually, it's been 7 years since they since they recorded their first pilot, quote unquote pilot, which is on Discovery Plus right now. It's called Destination Fear: Trail to Terror, and they're going to be on tomorrow. We're going to talk about that special. Which is on Discovery Plus. If you haven't watched it yet, by gosh, get yourself Discovery Plus and watch that movie. It is good.
Yeah, no, I like their stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, my daughter being around their age is who got me onto that show. She's like, "Dad, you got to check this out." This is, so it was fun because they do well, but it was also good to spend the time with my daughter watching it.
So it's a good program, and it gives you kind of an insight of how the origins of Destination Fear started and what the mindset was before they launched into the actual program. So it's a good watch, and we're going to talk all about it tomorrow. We're also going to talk a little bit about their experience with TAPS, with Ghost Hunters, and filming that Ghost Hunter show and what they learned filming with Jay and the group. So that's coming up tomorrow here on Darkness Radio. So we're going to have a good time tomorrow.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm going to tune in definitely.
Yeah.
And I have Discovery Plus, and that's on my queue, and I'm probably going to watch it after I watch Batman.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. And by all means, enjoy Batman today, Bruiser. I'm telling you that I saw it. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but it was a wonderful movie. I thought very, very good movie.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been waiting. I had to wait for my wife's schedule to clear because she wants to see it too, and it's a long movie. I remember you telling me that right off the bat, so that's why we're watching it a little bit earlier in the afternoon.
Solid 3 hours. So keep your drink consumption to a minimum. Keep your salt intake high so you can keep your liquids inside you, because you don't want to miss even a couple of minutes. It's heavily story driven. So yeah, you definitely want to be in your seat for the entire 3 hours. So that'll do it for Beer City Bruiser. I'm Tim Dennis. Again, join us tomorrow for the Destination Fear cast, and we'll be with you tomorrow. Thanks very much, folks, for tuning in for Supernatural News. Again, if you want to send us a Parashare submission, do it by emailing us, tim@darknessradio.com, or call us and use the voicemail, 651-300-4977. If you go past the 3-minute threshold, just call back and finish your story, 651-300-4977, or send us a voice note. Record it and send it to my email, tim@darknessradio.com. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.